Hello, everybody, and thank you for joining me on my podcast, Swiping Over 40, Online Dating for Mature Women. So all you ladies over 40 years old that are looking for love the first time around, or maybe it's the second or third time around, join in on our podcast as I interview all different types of men from all walks of life who give advice on dating, how to navigate the internet dating process, things that men are looking for. We share stories, looking really forward to sharing all this valuable information with you and helping you find love the first, second, or even third time around. With myself, Kathlyn, Heim, the host, and I have our guest, a repeat guest for the third time, Nurse Mark Worster. Welcome to the show, Mark. Thank you for joining again.
Well, thank you so much. I'm glad to be here.
You're always glad to be everywhere, and
I am so happy to be alive. You're right.
Yeah,
I have an amazing life.
So we're starting the podcast a few minutes a little bit late, which is fine because Mark is, where are you, Mark, right now?
Currently? I am just about 25 miles north of Newport, Rhode Island, and we have a wonderful tropical storm happening right now, and I had to go bail out a boat. So sorry about that, folks, but I had a sinking boat.
Well, I'm glad that your boat is still afloat.
It is.
So that's great. And thank you for still being committed to speaking with the viewers today. So thank you very much.
Absolutely.
So
happy to be here.
Thank you. So what we do on this podcast is, it's geared towards women who are 40s, 50s, 60s, and even 70s that are looking to find love, maybe the first, second, third, fourth time around. And they're delving into the online dating, and we're trying to give as much advice as we can in order for them to be successful in finding love, their other half, however you want to say it. So, Mark, I had some topics that I thought that we could talk about. However, you just let me know that there was something that you specifically wanted to talk about that you felt would be really helpful for women and men if they're listening in finding love online. Would you go ahead and share with the listeners, the viewers, depending on which forum you're watching me, and let us know what that topic is, and we'll just go with it, okay?
The topic is how to cultivate just being yourself. And I know we've talked about a lot of like the tactical strategies of online dating, what you should say, what you should wear, what you should talk about, things not to talk about, and all of those wonderful things that we try to, come up with a way to be on the date, right? Because we want to have success. We want love. Everybody wants love. And I thought about it, and my experience has been, I've been in love a lot of times. I've been lucky. I've had some fabulous, amazing relationships with some of the most beautiful, just amazing women. And it's all because they were authentically themselves, and I was able to be authentically myself. So we didn't have any tactics or strategies. We just showed up without any expectations, and it happens. And it's happened again. So here I am.
Happened again. Before we get started, what do you want to share with us? What do you mean by happened again?
So I was completely not attached. So in the last year, I backed away from online dating, and I wasn't dating much at all. And I had to figure out, why would relationships start and then end? Because we all want to be successful in the relationship, right? We work hard. We go through this online dating process, which can sometimes be a little challenging. And then we get into a relationship only to have it fail. And that's just even worse, right? You worked hard, you got there, you found someone you thought you had compatibility with, and then the relationship doesn't pan out. And so I had to figure out, and I through a lot of work, I figured out what the issue was for me. And I actually wrote about it in a book that launched a month or two ago. And, so I was able to, after getting rid of the issues that were in the way, actually not have to be in a relationship, not have to be with somebody. Like before, I think we talked about it maybe in an earlier podcast episode. I was in a relationship with somebody from the age of 15. I always had someone in my life, sometimes two or three people in my life, but always somebody had to be there, right? I
Yeah.
don't know if you've had that experience, but I had to be in a relationship, right? This past year, I was able to let go of that and not have to be in a relationship, right? I didn't have to find somebody who would make me happy. I actually spent the year with me. I think I actually dated myself. Like, I got to know me. I got to know what I like. I got to know what I really enjoy doing. And I get to be comfortable with just being by myself. And the funny thing is, not having to be in a relationship, I was presented with a lot of opportunities to be in relationships because I'm genuinely happy with who I am, and I'm good. Like, I love me. And that resonates with other people because you can feel it, right? You can feel happy energy coming from someone, right? People feel that, and they want to be with someone who is really okay with themselves and happy. And it goes back to some of those things we talked about being confident in your own skin, right?
Mhm.
Getting to that point in the dating world where you don't really need to be with somebody opens up a whole new world. A whole new world.
I agree with you, Mark. Being that I was married or in that relationship for close to 19 years, 18 and something years,
Yeah.
between marriage and dating. It was like a 17 and a half year marriage. And then I've been single now for 9.5 years. So 9.5 years. But when I say single, I've done a lot of dating like you. I've had a lot of relationships. And initially, I really wish I would have taken the time in the beginning that I took in the latter part of, these years,
Mm-hmm.
meaning that I just was so comfortable being with somebody else that I just wanted to be with somebody else. And so I was open to a
Yeah.
relationship, but there's nothing wrong with being open to a relationship. However,
Mm-hmm.
that's not the healthy way to go in. It's more of a needy way to go in, a way with expectations. There's an outcome that you're looking for. An agenda, I guess I've talked about with everyone. And I think that's felt by other people, but it's also a pretty, you put yourself in a very desperate position. And it's not a good feeling. And so I've had multiple failed relationships for one reason or the other. Nothing really
Mm-hmm.
bad. It's just not bad people. It's more of a, not knowing or being comfortable on your own. And I have to say, and Mark, you and I have talked about this before.
Mm-hmm.
I after my last relationship that I jumped 100% literally feet first into, and I'm not saying it was bad. I learned so much from that relationship about myself, but being forced into, I was actually forced into it. I decided to take some time, and then the pandemic hit, and I am not about to go out and expose myself to anything that I don't need to expose myself to. That really put a halt on the dating, meaning that I was completely,
Mm-hmm.
offline for a minute. Like, okay, so I'm just going to figure it out. As much as I thought that I knew myself, as much work as I've done on myself for so many years, I realized I wasn't there yet. And it finally just being comfortable in your own skin, and then realizing that you don't need somebody. It'd be
Mm-hmm.
great if you had that companion for whatever reason that is. If it's for marriage, if it's for travel, if it's for someone to go out with when you want to go out, if
Right.
it's sex, whatever it is, it's okay. But it puts you in a completely different place, and it's a different ball game. But I'm going to mention something. You
Yeah.
being in the good place and having those relationships, it's great. However, just because you're in this space, just because I'm in this space, and we highly recommend being in this space, is different. as peaceful, other people aren't as healthy, and you're going to find those people out there who are in the position that you and I were in, previously, right?
Right.
And
Right.
yeah, and that probably, a lot of the time, chances are, based on how we know what we went through,
Hmm.
might not work. It just might
Right.
not work because if they're not in the same place,
Right. And that's fine. That is fine. Like you said, you dated a few people and it didn't work out, and they're still wonderful people.
Yeah.
Just didn't work out. Didn't work out. I think we get into this mode of when we have that attachment, like we want to be with somebody, we kind of almost need to be with somebody. We're willing to go into relationships that if we were just okay with ourselves, we probably wouldn't choose to go into those relationships.
Right. And that's probably a part of the reason that they didn't work out. So if it was because we're not even there yet as far as our comfort with ourselves. So I guess, saying, hey,
Right.
this is me. Let me throw it all on the table. You take it or
Yep.
you leave it. Because if you
Mhm.
leave it, it's cool, because you're going to leave it eventually, or vice versa. And so it's important to find somebody who is like-minded, somebody else who isn't in that
Yeah.
desperate. I had somebody who I met recently, because I'm back out there, very mildly, meaning like phone conversations, and because yeah,
Dating in the pandemic, isn't it
exactly.
fascinating?
Yeah. So if we don't make it past those phone conversations, there's definitely not going to be any vulnerability as far as exposure.
Right.
But and I've met people who are super desperate, and I think, is that how I was? So desperate to be in a relationship that literally after 2 or 3 phone calls, you already feel like you have to answer up to this person. And I mean, that's
Mhm.
where the health, being healthy in your own self comes in, because you can actually,
Yeah.
politely stand up and say, you know what, I'm not answering that question, and I'm not comfortable with it. Not, you're not going to lie. Before, maybe we would have backpedaled and lied, or said something just to kind of get out of the situation. Now it's, I'm not comfortable, and when I am, I'll address it. If they don't like it, you know peace out. And if you're comfortable, talk about it. And if they don't like it, again, peace out. Right. So,
Right.
but it takes, like, so for years, I don't know about you, and I do kind of know about you, but not the details. For years, I put in the work. Yes, I continued to date, and sometimes there was abundance, and sometimes there was a complete, it was a dry river, right? There was nobody for months, but
Oh, that's a good point. You know what? If for everybody who's listening, there are like peaks and valleys, like anything in life. Sometimes when you're dating, that you just have so many conversations going on that you're like, I don't know if I can handle talking to another person. And then there are other times when it's like a ghost town. Like, you're right, there are tumbleweeds going through that app. Like, you can't get a connection to save your life.
right.
It's okay. You know what? It's the ebb and flow of life, and sooner or later it comes back around to being game on. But I found that, it's usually tied to where I am mentally, right, and emotionally. When I'm available and I'm really authentically me, man, that's when there's a lot going on.
Yeah.
And when I'm not, mm,
No, go ahead. I'm sorry.
yeah, no, it's like I was just going to say, and when it's not, it's like the ghost town.
Yeah, because I think that energy is put out way in advance. It's famine before feast, I
Yeah,
guess.
yeah, yeah,
But I think that people can feel that vibe probably in a lot of things you do and say. And again, sometimes it's just where other people are in circumstances and timing. I think has a lot to
yes,
do with it. But
yes.
prior to that, so how do you get there? So um,
How do you get there is
I
right.
yeah, I know that prior to my time alone, my decision to finally take time alone, that I could go backwards and say I would have taken a full year, 2 years completely on my own, but I didn't. So
Mm,
I'm, I've done, the time alone now, and I did meditation, and I did self help, and I did a lot of things for myself, and
yeah,
really,
inner work.
yeah, and I'm going to tell you how it started. I didn't know after all those years in a relationship and a marriage, I didn't know me anymore. And I didn't take the time initially to get to know me again, meaning I didn't even know what made me happy, what made me sad. I
Mhm.
didn't know what hobbies I liked. I forgot like what I went to counseling, divorce counseling, post-divorce by myself. And I was asked by the counselor, what is it that you like to do? And I just couldn't believe that I couldn't
You
think
drew a
of.
blank, right? You're
Well, I like to work out. What else? Well, um, I don't know. I like to have a glass of wine with my girlfriends, I guess. And really, I think I talked to, maybe it was you. Was it you that I talked to about my girlfriend? She's a nurse that I worked with, and about her. Maybe it wasn't you. I talked to somebody else that I've interviewed, but I have to bring it up again because it's so
yeah.
appropriate right now. So she had grown up in the you know, like the less fortunate area of Philadelphia. And she was young. She was on the streets. She lived in an abusive home, parents that used drugs. And she was pregnant at the age of 17. She was homeless with her son.
Oh.
And she went to nursing school throughout that. And she was working at what's a equivalent of UCLA or USC here in California, which would be something else for everybody else, you know, those big university hospitals. And she walked in one night and she said, she was crying, and she walked into her manager's office and she couldn't get anyone to watch her son for more than like an hour. And she was living in her car. And then she says, you know what? She said, I'm leaving here and I'm going to kill myself tonight. And they took her in to get help. You know, she was admitted for a few days on a hold. And long story short, while she was in there, all she could think about is, what is it that makes me happy? And we think of big things. What makes me happy? Oh, I want a man that has A, B, C, and D, or a woman who does in a big house and a job. You know, you know what hers was? Sunshine and palm trees make me happy. It's that simple. Start
Sunshine
here,
and palm trees
your
will never
heart.
let you down.
Well, so what happened, but I'm saying we're thinking so everything's so big. What about a baby step? What about thinking, what is it in here that I like? What is it I want? What do I like? You know, getting to know yourself is where I'm at. So she moved to California because they had sunshine and palm trees. And I met her and she's doing fabulous. She's a nurse, you know, she's working, she met somebody that they're getting married. She's developed her own organic skincare line that's sold in major stores. But she went from literally that moment. And the reason I'm bringing that up is when we're trying to discover, you know, make ourselves happy with ourselves, and we don't know what to do with ourselves. So we look outside, we look at other people to bring that to us. Start with what makes me smile. Is it your dog? Is it the sunshine? Is it a cloud that passes by? What is it? And bring that into your life and start there with just you and that whatever it is that brings you happiness on the inside. Right. Yeah. For sure.
I mean, I was forced at the end of 2018, a really meaningful relationship ended for me. And I had to really look at, why did that end? What was the issue? And I found, you know, I don't do anything half-assed. Like, I go 100% all in. So I found the best therapist for attachment theory. If you don't know what that is when between, you know, birth and 18 months, you establish a way of attaching to other people. And there was a large study done, I think in the 70s, with infants and mothers. And so the mother, you know, the infant would be in the room and the mother would leave, and they would just look at how the infant reacted to that. Anyway, there's a whole theory about how people attach to each other. And so I had to look at that and say, okay, well, was that the problem? No, that wasn't the problem. And what it ended up being was another guy, great guy, a guy by the name of David Sohn, who wrote a book called Escaping the Labyrinth. And it's about the mind-body connection. And his theory was, he passed away last year, sadly, suddenly, and a fabulous man, good friend. His theory was that by the age of 5, you've made up your mind on 3 firm things: how you are, how I am, how you are, and how the world is. So if you've had a good experience up to the age of 5, no trauma, no nothing, you have a pretty good story about how you are and how you are in the world is. Well, mine was, I'm unlovable, you can't be trusted, and the world is judgmental. gets stored in the subconscious. You don't even know it's in play. So I lived with that for 57 years, 56 years, running in the background. Once I was able to uncover that and realize that in every relationship, I was looking for that little 5-year-old kid's looking for someone to love them, but also keeping an eye out for anything that's judgmental and, trust breaking, right? And it
Right.
always shows up in every relationship. And that's why the relationships would end. So I was
Yeah.
able to get rid of that and extinguish it. And guess what? That 5-year-old kid is fine. That 5-year-old kid is loved. Guess what? Guess who that 5-year-old kid is loved by?
By the 57-year-old man.
Boom. Me. I love that 5-year-old kid. Kid isn't worried about anything now. Now it doesn't need, I don't need to go and get love from other people, right? Because I needed to have love from other people and I needed you to love me. So I would do whatever it is that needed to be done for you to love me. And that never lasts because guess what? I'm not authentically myself. And it's never going to be sustainable.
What
So I
I
was able
heard,
to extinguish that.
I love it, Mark. And what I heard you say in that one sentence was the word need 3 times.
Yeah.
Okay, 3 times you said, I don't need someone to love me. I don't
Yeah.
need somebody. You said it 3 times. And again, the underlying thread is need
Right.
versus want,
Right.
desire.
It's
Which is
okay to
different.
want, it's okay to
Okay.
desire to be with somebody, right? But to need to be with someone else puts so much pressure on them to live up to this ideal of whatever's in your head, maybe not even something you're aware of.
Absolutely. And this is where other issues are come into play. And so what we're saying for everyone who's listening, if you stepped in late, is that before you go out there, if you've been out there and you've been unsuccessful, take a minute to yourself and start trying to figure out what it is that you love about you. Build that relationship. I know there are people out there that have spoken to or written books, fall in love with yourself, date yourself. And I thought, oh, that's so stupid. Like, who wants to
I
date
dated
yourself? Yeah,
myself
that's
all the
I've been there, done that.
I took
Date
myself on
myself.
some fabulous trips.
But however, it's not. It's not. Maybe it's not about like date yourself. Maybe it is. Maybe it sounds corny. However, I will tell you, I will buy myself flowers. I will go to the store and say those roses are beautiful, and I will buy them and I'll put them in a vase. I don't
And
need to
why
wait
wouldn't
for people to
you?
bring me roses. Or I
Yeah.
want to go out and I want a really nice dinner. I will go out to dinner by myself and I will
Mhm.
have a nice dinner. I will go out to a bar
Now,
and
see,
have a
people
drink.
can't. Most people can't do that.
They
They
can't. I'll
can't
go to
go
a
to dinner
movie.
by themselves.
I went on vacation by myself a couple of years ago. I had a friend that had a timeshare. And they weren't able to make it. It was last minute. I'm like, yeah, I'll go. I took my bike. It was drivable. It was on the beach, and I took my
And
bike.
how
And it
was it?
went great. It was amazing. I went to some crystal store and I saw some really
Yeah.
beautiful crystals, and I rode my bike, for hours and hours and hours on the beach. Like not, maybe, throughout the morning, the afternoon. I took myself out to dinner. I really actually enjoyed it. Would I have liked to have somebody there? Sure. But I was cool just doing it by myself. It's about being okay, I think, by yourself. However, I do feel like we don't need to get too comfortable being by ourselves, where we're not as accepting to other people's.
That's
You
the
know, I,
flip side of that coin, right?
we don't want to be like, I don't want to be in like a cabin with about 25 cats saying like this is
Yeah, sometimes you get so comfortable with being by yourself that you lose the ability to be tolerant of other people, right? You
exactly.
lose the ability to actually be in a relationship, and you can, right? That can happen.
I think so. And, for myself personally, it's knowing, how would I feel with somebody in my space at this point? If somebody were here, if I'm comfortable with myself, I'm comfortable with somebody who's comfortable with themselves in that space.
Right.
So something I want to bring into this that I hadn't
Bring it
mentioned
in.
that I would maybe want to talk about, and I think it's a great segue into it. We can go back and forth. I'm not stuck on any one
Do
topic.
it.
I always ad
Let's
lib it.
let's do it. We're
So
talking.
jealousy is a huge issue. Or I don't want to even say mistrust. It's jealousy, but where jealousy comes from is not loving yourself. And jealousy is it is an absolute thorn in a relationship that will end it. And after the fact, you can't change it. If a woman who's jealous or a man who's jealous, and that comes again,
Yeah.
you don't know yourself. You have that insecurity, and it comes out in certain
Yeah.
ways. How do you feel as a man? How are you able to detect, even maybe on a first, second, third,
So,
date, if someone's jealous? And how do
yeah. So I feel like jealousy is never about the other person. Like it's about what they represent. It's about some past relationship where you were, where you were wronged or you thought you were wronged, and you just drag that right into this next relationship. And yeah, sure enough, that person can't be trusted. Look, it's just validation that I was right. Women can't be trusted. So it's always about the past. It's always about you dragging the past into this new relationship. So that's one of the things that you lose when you are absolutely comfortable with yourself. You lose that jealous component, because it's not about having to be with that person or them having to be any certain way, right? Okay, they step out or they do something that in the past you would get super jealous about, and now it's just like, you know what, their loss, I'm
well,
awesome.
because you love yourself, and when you don't,
Yes,
and I think when you love yourself, you don't even have that jealousy so much. You have that
I
acceptance
don't.
because you're not
But
afraid.
you won't put up with that behavior,
No, 'cause
right? You see
exactly.
something, you're just like,
Yeah.
you know,
You're not afraid to walk away because you
right,
already know that you're good on your own, and not that
right,
you want to be on your own, and it's okay that to want somebody and to spend your life with. Absolutely. I mean, that's why we're all on here, right?
right,
However,
exactly.
when you it's different. It's a want versus a need, like we just talked about. And being if you're good with yourself and you love yourself and you're happy without that other person, you will walk
Mhm.
away. You'll talk about it, probably like adults if it's possible. And if it doesn't change the situation, you'll have to step out because it's not healthy. So again, you
Because you love yourself, you are not going to tolerate any behavior that's unacceptable.
right. And
How
it's
many
not like,
relationships have you been in where something unacceptable happened and you just stuck in there, right? You just stuck it
oh
out. You were
yeah.
angry, you were jealous, whatever, but you stayed anyway.
Well,
That's not being kind to yourself.
so there's a difference though from being jealous with no reason or angry. Jealous is one thing, distrust is another. And I think that
Mm,
they can intertwine, however, they're not the same. And I think it's when you know yourself, then you trust your intuition without question. So
mhm.
I'm raising my hand. I was that person at one time where I would drive by a house. I'm going to drive by. I was not, don't call me a stalker, but I could say I'm like a light level stalker. Like how many levels are there? If it's 1 to 10, 10 deep, I probably got to about a 3, maybe even a 4. Uh, however, but
Right,
here's the
right.
thing. So here's the way. Like once you really are, you don't feel that way. You trust your intuition first of all because you know yourself, right? And you
Right.
don't feel, everything doesn't have to be confronted. If you don't feel that way, if you don't feel that you trust somebody, you can have an adult conversation because you're
Mhm.
confident enough to lose them because you know
Yep,
you're okay.
yep.
And to say, this is how I feel and this is why. And if the behavior continues, don't drive by a house. Don't go, checking on their Facebook or their Instagram or any social media.
Why?
Trust your
I
instinct
know.
and walk away. Because I will not, after I've been in one, I will not ever check up on somebody. I will mention it one time. This is me personally.
Yeah.
And if I don't see a change, I'm trusting me enough and I love me enough to be able to say, you know what, I'm sorry. There's no trust because of, this situation, and it hasn't changed. And then you pretty much know it's not based on your insecurity. It's based on factual evidence. It's not, I mean, I don't mean evidence like you got it, you can tell. I mean, we've all had
Oh,
somebody
yeah.
cheat on us and we all know the signs. You don't always have to show up at their door and kick it in.
You always know. You always know. How many times did I
Just
just
laugh at that one.
ignore the signs, right? You
Right.
ignore it.
Well, you
I
ignore
think
it
that
because of
goes back to
desperation.
needing to be in a relationship,
Right.
right?
Okay. Yes. And so then you have the jealousy and then you're trying to control them. Well, let me just like food for thought. And I know most of these women are experienced in life. However, the only person we control is ourselves. And what that means in a relationship is our reactions and our actions and our responses, to somebody else and how,
Right.
how we behave, and always put yourself on the pedestal. Don't wait for someone to put you on the pedestal. Not that you're better than anybody. Make sure that you can love somebody the way you want to be loved. However, don't put yourself at the footstool of somebody
No.
else ever. I used to tell my kids, I'm thinking about this. So when my kids were young, and my daughter especially, girls go through girl drama, but I would discuss this with both of my kids, and I didn't follow it exactly. However, I taught them and they did. I said, decide how you want to be treated and accept nothing less, but give nothing less. Meaning, if I want to
Right.
be treated a certain way and I know that, I won't allow you to treat me a different way. However, I will treat you the same way I want to be treated. And that is a great way to
That's a recipe for a successful relationship.
yeah, yeah. And I gave that advice to my kids, and then for
Good
those
for
years
you.
afterwards, I just didn't follow it. I'm like, what a
Well,
hit.
it's always easier to give other people advice. I mean, we know we should be doing it too, and
Right.
we don't, but
Well,
it's okay.
it
It's
all
okay.
takes conscious effort. You can't just
Yeah.
not do work. I mean, there's things like meditation, journaling, time to yourself, whatever it is.
Right.
I encourage people to take that time. We were so busy. We're on this hamster wheel of life. We're just going around and around, and we get up and we go to the gym, or we get showered, we eat our breakfast, make our coffee, go to work, come home, make dinner, and repeat, repeat,
Yeah.
repeat. So we're not really stepping off that hamster wheel to take the time
No.
to say, how do I feel? How do I feel? How did I feel about this situation at work? How did I feel about that conversation? But again, when my first book, The Rule of Nines, one of the things I talk about, I wrote a poem, actually, it's called Feelings. And it has a lot to it, but really the bottom line is feelings are just visitors. Let them come and let them go. Feel it where it's coming from, and then kind of figure out your next move without just reacting like we do all the time. It's important
Totally.
because
Yeah.
you can't take back what you already did. It's
Right. Right.
you move forward. So
Yeah. So another one of the byproducts, and I think I mentioned it earlier, another one of the byproducts of really loving yourself first is that you just people show up. Like you don't have to worry about, okay, am I ever going to find anybody? That worry about actually finding the right person, because I mean, you get to be over 40, you get, especially when you get into your 50s, just start to look and say, okay, I'm on the back nine now. I don't have all of the time in the world like thought I did when I was in my 20s, which is just an illusion anyway, right? Um, but now it's real. Like, if I'm going to be with somebody, I better find somebody now. That kind of leaves you when you're okay with yourself. It's okay. And then,
they show up.
man, some amazing people show up in your life just out of nowhere. Yeah.
Well, it's the energy that's put out that just
Right.
is, infinity and beyond. That
It's
energy
the
travels.
energy. Yeah.
And the thing is too, that was another good point that you had, Mark, about that desperation, because we're talking about mature women that are dating. And
Hey,
when
listen,
I
it's for
was younger,
guys too. I know this is for mature women, but I'll tell you from the guy's perspective, we're nervous too. Like when we're in that mode and we're thinking, damn, we better get busy. Better find
well,
that person.
so we're both nurses, so I can say it. Who's going to change my diaper?
I know, right?
I don't have a mom and dad anymore, but but for
I know
real.
it's not going to be any of my kids. Ah, they
So,
love me, but they're not there. They're not going to
but
change my
not that much.
diaper.
Well, but the thing
Right.
is this. So when we're younger, we have that sense of desperation, that we feel like that time clock is ticking. We need to get married because we want to give birth to children. That's it. That is a time clock. That is real. And that's why there are so many divorces. I believe a
Yeah.
lot of them are because you don't know yourself yet, most people anyway. And having that pressure to have children by a certain age is super important. But however, I feel like something flips in the latter years. You start to feel the opposite, like you just said. I don't want to die alone. I don't want to be alone forever. And let's be honest. I don't look like when I was 20, 30, 40, or even 50 years old. I'm in my mid 50s and I don't look the same, and I'm not ever going to go backwards. I'm only going forward. You start to worry. I think there's a different desperation. No one's going to want me. So I need to hurry up and find somebody.
Mm,
Again, that
mm,
desperation, it's obvious when it's an agenda, and we've talked about that, and I've talked
mm.
about with multiple people. But I think like you said, across the board, a lot of people feel that way.
Right.
So it depends on what you want. Like, you want that fairy tale love. I do. Like the movies, the love songs, the fairy tales. I would like
I am
that. I would like to have
such
that
a
love.
sucker for romance.
So
Oh,
same. But guess what? I know that. I'm not going to say, yeah, it's cool if we just hang out. Yeah, it's cool if we hang out initially, but no, this is what I want. I buy myself flowers. I would love you to buy me flowers. I mean, I guess if you don't, there's other things that you do. It's not a deal breaker, but somebody that appreciates the romance, that's part of
right,
getting to know yourself. And I
right.
have friends that have been married for years, and they're years, 30 something years, and their husband, like, it's their anniversary, it's their birthday, and their husband doesn't get them a card or flowers. Oh, it's okay. He never does. Is it really okay? Because I'm going to tell you, even when I was married, that was never okay with me.
Not okay.
I don't need a
Not
diamond
okay in
ring.
my book.
A flower, pick it from the backyard, write your own card, just something.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I'm dating this girl in the pandemic, and it's actually a long distance relationship. She lives in another state. I sent her flowers. I sent her a handwritten note. Like, we're doing, you know what we're doing, Kathlyn? We're courting. Like, we're
Love it.
courting like the old days, right? For me, before, and all of the dating, it was like first, second, and third date, sex, boom, physical relationship. That changes, that changes the context of the relationship, obviously. Well,
Yeah.
that's not available right now. So now, you know what we do? We actually have conversation. We're actually getting to know each other. Like, and it's
What?
amazing. Like, I'm getting to know this person before I'm ever going to see her physically. And it's it's just a wild, crazy love affair at this point.
Well, I think that, and you met her online, and I think that's super romantic. And I feel because of the pandemic, a lot of us are forced in that situation. I know I'm definitely not going to be the one that's going out to meet anybody right now. I'm not feeling that I want to expose myself to people that I don't know. Now, if we've had, like you've had, a relationship that flourishes through, Zoom or FaceTime or whatever. Have you done that, Zoom or FaceTime?
Oh, yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
hell yeah.
So you
FaceTime
start,
every day.
yeah. So you do that, and then you see
Twice,
yourself.
3 times a day sometimes.
You know what? See, I love that. So now
Yeah, see, so I love that too, right? But a lot of people don't like that. They say, oh, that's fucking needy. Excuse me, but that's what they say. That's needy. Well, guess what? I like that in the beginning of the relationship. I like being intertwined and communicating at that level.
Well, I think it depends, Mark, because I like it and I don't, because I work, I've got this podcast, I'm in my master's program, that. So I'm really busy.
So we're doing the same things. Yeah.
Right, we're doing the same things,
Mm-hmm.
definitely. So if it's the right connection, oh my gosh, I love it. But if it's somebody, you can tell, like, this is one of my conversations for later, is narcissists. So there are a lot of narcissists out there. I'm sorry to say, ladies, but there are, and I actually was
I'm an
involved in a
expert on that subject.
I was involved with one, and let me tell you, you want to rip your heart out, is you fall in love with
Oh,
a narcissist. And right, Mark, are you in agreement with me? Like,
I am in agreement. It is a challenging relationship that will cause you to question everything about
uh,
yourself.
so, and yeah, exactly. And again, I'm gonna, you know what? Our next episode, since you've been involved with one and I've been involved with one,
Oh
I
yeah.
talked about it in my book. talk about, how to keep yourself safe, narcissist, the cheater, the married guy, all that kind of stuff, the player, and the boy versus the man, because some people are still boys, sorry, but
Right.
some of you are.
Right.
I would love to talk about that because, but what I have seen is that I did have one person, as of late that had that same type of personality. However, I saw it wasn't a genuineness for getting to know me. There was such narcissism involved in it. It was about that person. So I backed down. I'm not ready to go down that road. Will I ever be able to go down that road again? So,
You never
uh,
win.
yeah, so we're going to talk about
You'll
that.
never win. Yeah.
But
We'll
but the
talk
thing
about
is, it's about being like both of you being ready, not somebody pushing you into it.
it. Right.
Being ready and taking your time, and otherwise, the people back off. What do they say? Anything you chase runs away. You know,
Right.
and there's the
You know
rubber
what
band.
happened?
Hmm?
And you may date, 3, 4, 5 people in a row that there's just not that connection. But when there's that connection, you're absolutely right. I have a podcast. I have a new business that it's up and running, and I'm in a master's program, and I've got a lot of stuff going on all the time. You know what? When this person calls me, I take that call because she is never a distraction. She is never not, able to communicate with me, because
Yeah,
I make that the priority,
right.
because I have that connection to her.
100%, and that's important for everyone to hear too. So if people
Mhm.
are too busy for you, if people get busy, like you get busy, I get busy, but I will absolutely say,
Mhm.
you know what? I'm sorry, I'm super swamped at work right now. I'm in a WebEx meeting or a Zoom meeting,
Totally.
and I'm going to be in it until 5 o'clock. Like literally, it's all day long. I
Do
can't
it
wait
all the
to talk
time.
to you when I'm done. Give me 15 minutes when I'm done. To
Yep.
brush my hair or put my clothes on because I'm working from home and I haven't put them on yet. I don't know. So
Right. Yeah.
oh my gosh, I have to
Right.
share this story. Okay, everyone out there is going to love this. So I work, I'm a nurse and I'm in, I guess, in healthcare management, executive, like line of nursing, so to speak. And so we have been doing WebEx meetings all day long. And they're not video conferencing, they are WebEx meetings. And we had an update to our computer system, apparently, and I didn't turn my computer off that night. So normally I get up, and I get my workout clothes on and everything, I'm kind of like almost decent, but I had woken up a little bit late and I get on and I'm wearing my my version of PJs. And
Yeah.
which were like my little like
Well,
leopardy
at least you wear them.
my little leopardy camisole that's
Yeah, yeah.
so I go on and all of a sudden I see myself in this meeting with the executives, right? With my hair on my head and no makeup. And I see myself and I took my laptop and I flicked it up. And then people are sending me jabbering. Oh, if we see your blinds, we see your blinds, but you see them in the background. I'm like, yeah, I'm trying to figure that out.
Yeah.
I don't know, but something brought that up. So
Yeah.
I don't know
That
what it was that brought that up, but it's about what
being
brought that up?
available and communicating. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, that was embarrassing. However, we have to, we want to look good when we're on a video with the first time we meet. But you have
Yeah.
to treat it like this is our first date. So I'm gonna be, I'm gonna have my clothes on, and my
Mhm.
makeup done, and we'll talk. And then maybe with time, then you could be more casual about it because you really want
Right.
someone to see you in your element and
Yeah.
make sure that and if they're not okay with that, then sorry, men, we all take off our makeup and our hair gets messy and we do throw it up in a bun when we sleep, a lot of us, if it's long, right? So at least
Absolutely.
at some point during the night. So
Hmm.
yeah. So the jealousy thing. So that's a big turnoff. I know it is. Sometimes women do find it flattering for someone to be a little jealous. I think
Oh yeah. No.
healthy men
No.
do not like it. What are your thoughts? I don't think healthy men like
No.
jealousy.
I was on I was on a Facebook Live with a podcast that I had recently, and we were talking about uh, perception. And she would talk about how she would have to check, in the last relationship she was in, she would have to check her boyfriend's phone like several times a day. She'd have to check his phone and make sure that he wasn't cheating. And she recognized that that was toxic behavior and that it was all tied to trauma from the past. And so, she came up with a program to treat that trauma. But it really is. I mean, it's always, again, going back to, it's always about something from the past.
Yeah,
It's
and
not even about that person.
yeah, and we can't help that we've lived. We can't help our past, but we all
Right. We're human. We get wired that way. But if you don't recognize it and find a way to correct it, you're always going to have that relationship fail. Because, I mean, honestly, I've been in relationships where I've been accused of cheating, and you know me to be an outgoing kind of guy. I'm an extrovert, so I'm always chatting with people, and yeah, probably a little flirty, but that's just how I am with everybody, right? Male or female, that's just my personality. And I've been in relationships where I've been accused of cheating constantly and had my phone checked. And like, you reach a point where you finally say, hey, you know what? If I'm going to be accused nonstop 24/7, I might as well just do it, because I'm going to be accused of it and pay the price anyway. And then the relationship's done.
So that's how a lot of men feel, and that's what we were talking about earlier. So if you feel that way, have an adult conversation. If you still feel that way, then go ahead and walk out of the relationship. If you feel that's
You have to honor yourself,
every
right?
single person that I've thought, they're cheating, guess what? They were cheating. And what I consider cheating, if you're talking to another woman that's you're not telling me about in a flirty way, if you're sending pictures to each other,
See,
if you're doing it when you're not around,
surreptitiously, yeah.
if you're hiding it, then that's cheating. And so if I feel that way,
if you're hiding anything, that's it. That's it. I would agree with that. I would agree. Yes.
However, what I'm getting from your message is get the junk out of your trunk. I saw this.
You got to do the work. You want to be in a healthy relationship, you got to be healthy too.
Yeah, so I had seen this. Actually, it was a sermon that I had seen that was about relationships. And there's a pastor. His name is T.D. Jakes, and sometimes I watch that. He's got some really valuable information that he gives. And one of them was, it was about getting the junk out of your trunk. And he actually physically on the sermon went to a car dealership. And it was about relationships. He's, oh my gosh, this car is so beautiful. It's so shiny. I love the color. Oh, it's clean on the inside. How you would view somebody when you first meet them. Everything great on the outside. He went to go check the trunk, and it was full of like fast food wrappers and old crap everywhere. Like, okay, so it may look really nice on the outside, but have they cleaned their trunk? Have they gotten the junk out of their trunk? You cannot be blamed, and you'll know when it's there, when it happens. You'll know when you're blamed for somebody else's something, or when you've done it. You will know because,
goes back to what you said earlier about trusting your gut.
Yeah.
Like it's a thing. Your gut brain, it notices things that you don't see or hear with your other senses. It notices little triggers and cues that you're not even aware of. And that feeling that you have, you got to honor that.
It's you say that, Mark, and this has been something that I've always said. So before I was a nurse, I was a Los Angeles police officer for 10 years. And you just know when something goes by. But I don't think it's that you just know so much as your subconscious brain picks up on so many little things that you don't have time to process in this brain.
Notice.
So you may have seen someone take a move. You may have seen something, but it's the same way with dating. It's your subconscious brain. It may, if you haven't gotten the junk out of your trunk, it may just be reminding you about another situation, and that's not fair. But if you have, then maybe I'm a huge advocate of trusting your intuition. 100%. I think it's super important.
I am too.
Unless you haven't cleaned yourself out. If you haven't got your junk out, then I'm sorry. It's probably all that junk.
I like that one. Get your junk out of the trunk.
I love this conversation. I think it's great. I think it's great advice. And so I'm just, before we wrap it up, I had other topics I was going to talk about. I think this is good the way it is. And I really want to talk about the narcissism. later. And you know what? Here's the thing: is don't ever be hard on yourself. We've all been through life, and life sometimes is
We're
amazing, and life
human.
sometimes is challenging. And um, let your challenge be your change. Let it evoke change within yourself,
Yeah.
and be
Yeah.
be better, not bitter, right? Step, instead of,
Right.
oh, all these guys are all blah blah blah, or all these women are blah blah blah. All those are not. Everybody's an individual. So start with
There's
yourself.
8 billion people in the world and 8 billion realities and
Yeah,
experiences. Yeah.
and it
When you
starts.
love yourself, by the way, Kathlyn, when you love yourself, it's like I am absolutely amazing. And my book was, the title was absolutely fucking amazing, and living a life you love. And that is the truth. I'm absolutely amazing. You know what? It's not conceited. It's an acceptance of my humanity. Like, I know I have had junk in the trunk, and I'll continue to have to work on things because I'm human, and that's what happens. We get wired by experiences to react certain ways, but I accept that about myself. And you know what? I accept that about you. And I think you're absolutely amazing.
Well, I
So,
appreciate that, and
boom.
I just had a vision in my head when you said that. So, we go through life, we eat,
Mhm.
we accumulate trash in our house, right? And
Yeah,
we take out the trash. I take out my trash almost every single day. I have to take out
absolutely.
my trash by Wednesday, trash day.
Hmm.
My trash
Hmm.
can's full. It's
Yeah.
no different than what we're going through living. That's through living my
Right.
life, and the same thing. So why do I want to have
Accumulate it, right?
my trash can completely
Yeah.
filling up without emptying it? So I think I'm a huge advocate, as you are, of meditation, of journaling, of anything at night. Where, okay, so let me review my day. Let me not ruminate on anything, but let me
Right.
just say, okay, so this I really liked. This made me kind of sad. Why did it make me sad? What could I have done different? What's my
Hmm.
what responsibility do I have, if any, in
Hmm.
this situation? Do I like the way I handled that situation, or would I do it differently next time?
Right.
Guess what? The past is the past. Let that go.
Go.
Tomorrow
Let
is
it go. You know, it's
take the
funny,
trash
the
out.
12 step, all the 12-step programs, Kathy, all the 12-step programs, all of them, here's how it worked. You come in, you admit that you're human, you have an issue, you clean house, and then one of the final things you do every single day is review your day and make sure that you get rid of the accumulated stuff that happened that day, so that you don't ever have to go back and do all this monumental house cleaning.
We don't want to do that. Oh my gosh.
No, it's
You know,
painful.
it's work, it's drama, it's everything. So,
Yeah.
so Mark, tell me, I know you have your book, and I would like you to talk to the listeners and viewers about your book, and how, and
Yeah.
let them know how they can get in touch with you.
Sure. Yeah. So my book is on Amazon. Just look up Mark Worcester, Nurse Mark. The name of the book is absolutely fucking amazing. Living a Life You Love. And I think it's a great first book. There'll be many more. I love it, love it, love it. And you can get a hold of me via nursemark.co is the website, and has all of my contact info. And I love to chat with people. So reach out. Happy to have a conversation.
And he is, trust me, he's just the best, and he speaks the truth for himself, which is great.
I
And
do.
that's,
I do that.
yeah, and I thank you so much for being here, Mark. I'm looking forward to our narcissist
Yeah.
conversation.
Oh, that'll be a fun
That'll,
one.
we'll do that soon. And for those of you who are trying to create lasting change in your life, you might want to check out, a copy of my book, The Rule of Nines,
Mm,
step by step guide to permanent behavioral change, living less out of intention, or less
fabulous.
out of habit, more with intention. I get my words screwed up, because we
Yep.
do live out of habit, and it really is a very personalized step-by-step process, very different than anything else. That involves introspective work and
Mhm.
meditation, and will really help you to define what it is that's important to you in your life, and then not only that, help you with the steps to actually get there. And if you want to reach out, and again, my next book's coming out, which I'm super excited out in the next couple of months, which is the Dating in the Fast Food World book. Girlfriend's Guide to Internet Dating. She says, he says. So it has all the scenarios you could ever imagine in regards to dating or online dating, and it takes you through the process, but also includes the opinion of and experience of both women and men, and not just my own. And if you want to get a hold of me, you can check out my YouTube channel. I just kind of got everything up and running. It is Kathlyn Heim, Kathlyn Heim. I do have a podcast, which is this podcast, which is Swiping Over 40, and mature online dating for mature women. So go ahead and check it out. And if you want to reach out, I know. And if you want to reach out, so for topics of conversation, please go to my email or go to my website, which is kathlynheim.com, and check it out. Send me an email, and I will bring Mark and other people on, and we'll, whatever questions you have, we'll bring them up in the podcast. I'd love to help you all out. So thank you. Yeah. Absolutely. Hello, everybody, and thank you again for tuning in to today's podcast, Swiping Over 40. If you like what you heard, go ahead and subscribe to my podcast channel. And ladies, I'm super excited because I do have a book coming out shortly, and it's titled Dating in a Fast Food World, The Girlfriend's Guide to Internet Dating, She Says, He Says. You're going to love it. It takes into account anything you can imagine that you might encounter while navigating through the online dating process. But not only does it have the input from a woman, it has the input from a man as well. So you'll get the inside scoop. You can also subscribe to my newsletter by going to kathlyn.com. I look forward to hearing from each and every one of you, and may you all find love.